So Donkey Kong Bananza is absolutely incredible. I've played the game now for more than 10 hours. I'm doing a 100% playthrough run. This is essentially on every single layer. I'm going to collect everything before I go. So I'm going to get all of the fossils. I'm going to get all of the bananas, the big banana gem thingies. I'm going to get everything before I leave. So it's taking me a bit longer to beat the game than maybe some people that have already rushed through all the way, and I'm having a blast doing it. So in this video, I'm going over my impressions of the game, the good, the bad, all of the stuff, and the future of the franchise. Then I'll probably still do an overall review after I'm completely done with the game, because that's how much I like this game. I'm very motivated to keep on playing it, so expect that to be a little bit later down the line. So let's first start with the graphics in the game. This is the best presentation, the best graphics that I have seen for Donkey Kong ever. And obviously that's going to be the case because we haven't had a 3D Donkey Kong game in 25 plus years. The last time was Donkey Kong 64. And the 2D Donkey Kong games, while those games look smooth and look great, they're based off of the Wii games overall. So from when they went from the Wii to the Wii U, and then from the Wii U to the Switch, Switch is just the Wii U game when it comes to Tropical Freeze. So while they look great, nothing's ever looked this good, taking advantage of the Nintendo Switch 2 processing capabilities. I would say that the environments are very detailed, the enemy designs are great, there's a lot of polish, and I would just say smooth looking resolution and textures. It just looks fantastic overall. Now there are some areas, like when you do like the heavy destruction, where things can get a little bit not so pristine as what you would see like in cutscenes or other times, but for the most part, the graphics hold up really well. The art is very well done. Donkey Kong's expressions and how he looks and how everything is drawn is just phenomenal. So graphically speaking, from a technical perspective and from an artistic perspective, this is the best that we've ever seen Donkey Kong. So I'm very excited and definitely like that. Next up is the presentation. The presentation with the UI, the font, the HD rumble, all of the different things that make it really kind of come together. It's very well done, even with the map, although we're going to talk a little bit about the map in just a bit. But with the map and with how the fonts are and with everything, it's uniquely Donkey Kong. Despite not necessarily having a new Donkey Kong 3D game in so long, it feels like it's right at home when you're kind of going through everything. The presentation and how they put together the structure of even the base game is fantastic. The layers, the smashing stats, all the different things that you can categorize and look through is very interesting and fun, and how they put together the game overall to match with the graphics is well done too. I'll also touch on story briefly. There's not too much to say here because of fear of spoilers, but also look, Donkey Kong, he really loves bananas. A crew came in, the Void crew, they jacked his bananas, and Pauline, she's mysteriously wrapped up in this and she wants to get back to the surface. So in order to get back to the surface, they have to keep going down through the layers to get back to the surface because they can get apparently a wish granted. So that's the story. Not going to spoil anything else. It's better than previous DK games. It's a bit more involved because of Pauline and the voice acting and all that. So I do like that with the presentation wise. But yeah, that's pretty much the story. And it's probably better than most other Donkey Kong games from what I've seen so far. Now, next up is a very important thing and has always been one of the most iconic and great things about the Donkey Kong franchise, and that's the music. The music has this whimsical yet serious tone at times, yet silly when it needs to be, majestic at times as well. The music flows, it feels like a David Wise, or it feels like a true Donkey Kong type of soundtrack, but also taken up to the extreme. You've got classics reborn in there in certain levels, you've got other remixes of tracks, but then you've got brand new music that sounds so good to listen to. So when it comes to the music in Donkey Kong Bananza, expect peak, and you are going to get peak in expectations. So I was blown away by how good the music is so far, and I'm not even all the way through, just at the beginning. The first number of layers has been great. Boss music and themes, underground mine theme and some of the bonus stages and levels, it really sets the tone and fits Donkey Kong, which is important for this franchise considering the pedigree that we've seen with Donkey Kong games, Tropical Freeze, DKC 1, 2, and 3, Donkey Kong Country Returns. These are all fantastic soundtracks, and now we have them back better than ever with Donkey Kong. So very good on that front. But before we get into the next thing here, please make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you are someone new, and click that notification bell in order to get my vids as soon as they drop. And let me know what your favorite aspects of Donkey Kong Bonanza are. Now let's get into the most important thing when it comes to any game, and that is gameplay. This is so important here, and this is where Donkey Kong Bonanza shines. When you're talking about the actual gameplay of the title, plus the controls matched together, it feels like Donkey Kong, but then again, it feels like something completely different. It's not just a straight up platformer like old school Donkey Kong games are. It's a platformer with a lot of action and adventure mixed into it to create this really awesome blend that just keeps you playing over and over and over. It just keeps you addicted and hooked overall, because you have this really cool voxel tech that lets you essentially almost destroy anything around you. You can punch and mash and destroy stuff, and you can dig all the way down and around and find treasures and find all sorts of stuff. The gameplay loop in this, you can bash as many things as you want to collect resources and banana gems to level up quicker with the skill point system, or you can simply just go through the game. You don't necessarily have to sit there and level up and do all the different skill point stuff that the game does have. But I would say that's what makes the gameplay such a beauty. The fact that you can kind of play it your way, and the fact that they've actually melded what makes Donkey Kong so strong and great. And in previous games, I've had this complaint because Donkey Kong is incredibly strong. He's this huge, powerful ape, yet sometimes his game doesn't necessarily portray that, considering in the old school games, at least, you get hit one time, he goes running off. But in this game, it really shows off the power that Donkey Kong truly has, because most people obviously cannot do what he does in the game, and they let him know that. Whereas obviously in previous Donkey Kong games, there were other Kongs that can do the exact same thing for the most part that he can do when it comes to defeating enemies, but nobody else can smash through the terrain and have this type of gameplay style. So I think it fits really well. There's a ton of challenge levels and courses that are a blast to go through, and I haven't even got to the super harder ones that I know that are coming up. There's some that are inventive. It's not all just about smashing and everything. You actually have to think, okay, I'm gonna do this, or solve some like puzzles here and there. It's just a really good mix-up of old school Donkey Kong, but then also new ideas to create something that's just completely unique. And I really haven't played any other game that has the type of gameplay like this. It's essentially taking, somebody put this up on Twitter and it was a really good comparison. It's taking Super Mario Odyssey, it's taking Kirby and the Forgotten Land, it is taking previous Donkey Kong games to a degree, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Hulk Ultimate Destruction, and kind of putting them all together and creating a game. So yeah, there's no other game on the market that's like this. If you have to pick from those varieties of games, there is no other game that's like this when it comes to the gameplay. So seeing the amount of destruction and stuff that people are doing, and seeing the craziness that can happen, it just makes it all the better with the gameplay. I also love the skill point system. I think that really keeps you engaged and keeps you actually trying to find the different banana gems, to find the different big bananas, so you can level up your skills and get different types of abilities. And I think that's what sets this game apart from a lot of the other platformers that have came out. Not to knock Astrobot or anything like that. Astrobot's a fantastic platformer, but this is what sets it apart. That depth in the gameplay that you don't get from a lot of other 3D platformers that come out. Really, the last time that I saw this type of depth with what you can do movement wise and everything from a 3D platformer was essentially Mario Odyssey back in 2017. With the type of depth that you have, being able to do like a spin and then twirl jump, having to be able to roll and then jump and then cancel. You can do a lot of really cool movement type of things in this game. You can turf surf off of any type of chunk that you pick up, and based off of what chunk you pick up, you can actually surf longer or not. They have skills to where you can make it to where you can surf on water, or to where it lasts longer, or you can chunk jump to where you can have a skill to where you can jump off of the rock. There's so many different ways to navigate and move in this. It just sets it apart from pretty much everything else. That gives you that extra, I would say, replayability or extra playability to go through. So like, oh, I want to do speed runs down, and I'm going to chunk jump, and I'm going to surf, and I'm going to do all these different cool things on top of Donkey Kong's already normal moveset that he does have. Plus, with the skill point upgrades, you can just evolve that. The sonar clapping and different types of things that just improve the abilities. The Kong transformations that are super fun. And I haven't even got all of them, and I'm not going to spoil the other ones for you guys or anything. But the Kong transformations are great. You can skill up those ones as well. So there's so many different things in terms of variety of gameplay options and things that this game does. It's just somewhat unmatched when it comes to any other 3D platformer that we've seen in the last number of years. Like I said before, the last time that I saw this was Super Mario Odyssey, with the amount and depth of movement and different options. And this one kind of goes a little bit further because you have that skill point system tied in with transformations that you can keep the whole time that involve another character with Pauline. So that duo, that kind of synergy between them, it kind of has her into the mix as well. That creates, in my opinion, really engaging gameplay and fun gameplay as you go through. Pauline's inclusion when it comes to the presentation, kind of going back to that, but also with the gameplay, is great. It works hand in hand with that. So man, I am loving what they've done here. Now, there are some issues overall when it comes down to it. There are some frame rate drops with the map overall. Sometimes it kind of lags on the map, which I wish that was a bit smoother, because I am checking the map for a number of things. But you can do like the whole music hold L thing, and it will point out the different types of places that you need to go. So there are ways, if you don't want to use the map as much, you can just play through the game and have it a bit more seamless. But that would have been nice if that was a smooth 60. Overall, sometimes if it gets too crazy on the screen in terms of destruction and breaking things, you might notice a little bit of a dip here and there. It hasn't happened to me too many times, but it does happen. And then there are some things when it comes to bosses and stuff to where the frame rate could cut a bit. That's already been reported out there, and of course that I know that's probably going to happen too. So there are some issues overall with it, but I would think that the fun gameplay most of the time, that kind of breaks through, and the uniqueness of the game is just one of those things to where it really just says, okay, yeah, there's some issues there, we can point them out, obviously an issue overall, but at the same time, the game is still insanely fun to play through. So that's essentially kind of how I look at it overall, very much like other big games that have came out in the past number of years, like Elden Ring, for example. That game has some frame rate issues, but it's still insanely fun for so many people out there. And that's kind of how I feel with Donkey Kong Bananza. Still really fun, but we're going to point out those issues. Yeah, it would have been better if it was more smoother at those times. Also want to add that the gameplay is interesting because if you play it in portable mode, I think it actually plays a little bit better most of the time than if you play it in the docked mode overall. Might be because of the VRR screen or just because the resolution is a bit lower compared to when it's docked. But yeah, that is something to where if you do play handheld, you might get a little bit less frame rate drops on some of the things, might play just a little bit smoother at times when there are some issues when it comes to docked. So there's also that. Doesn't mean it completely eliminates it when it's portable mode, but there is that as well. I also want to add in that the outfits and the different customization that you can do to Pauline in addition to Donkey Kong is really cool. And one of the things that kind of sets it apart from other games that have this when it comes to customization is that the different outfits actually add something to the table, whether it's better swimming speed or better sonar. So I think that's pretty cool to kind of customize and level up your different types of outfits and stuff that you have in the game as well. Just giving it a nice touch that a lot of other 3D platformers don't actually have. Now, let's talk about the future of the franchise, because I think that Donkey Kong Bananza makes the future very bright overall. Now, we've been in a 25-year plus drought of 3D Donkey Kong games. We were in a 10+ year drought of Donkey Kong games, new Donkey Kong games in general. The last one that came out was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze in 2014 on the Wii U. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if humans lived to be like, let's just say 500 years old or something like that. But the problem is that there's only a certain number of years out there. So let's hope that the future of this franchise is a little bit more frequent to where we can get new games, not in like 10 years plus when it comes to a game in general, and then 25 years plus when it comes to a 3D game. So I'm hoping that this actually turns a new leaf for Donkey Kong. I think that the scores are good enough for that. I think that the gameplay is good enough for that. And I actually covered this before on a previous video, and if you missed it, make sure you check out the link in the description. I'll have it there. And I talked about how Donkey Kong Bananza is actually blowing up the sales of course, the game is blowing up when it comes to sales-wise. It's #1 on the eShop, #1 on Amazon in multiple different regions, and it's also blowing up the Nintendo Switch 2 sales, as there's a large number of people that are going to Best Buy with the restocks, going to Walmart, going to Target, and a lot of those places are sold out in my area with the restocks with Donkey Kong Bananza. But then also on Amazon, the best sellers, Donkey Kong Bananza is absolutely blowing up the Switch 2, as now Amazon has finally got back Nintendo games and systems, and that has become a best seller on there with the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that all of that is going to combine into us actually getting more Donkey Kong games over the course of a 25-year period, or at least with 3D games. I think it's going to be a bit more frequent now because people are really showing up and supporting the game. So everything that I said here falls all in line, and the future looks secure for Donkey Kong Bananza. I'm going to be very excited to see what Nintendo does next, because I think that the next Donkey Kong game isn't going to necessarily follow the same exact gimmick of just destroying everything and kind of going through that way. I think they're going to do some different things within that type of gameplay style and all of that. So we'll see what they end up coming up with. The Mario Odyssey team is incredibly creative, but yes, I think it's going to be great when it comes to what they come up with. But what are your initial impressions of Donkey Kong Bananza and the future of the franchise? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.